our receivers coach walked into the room and said, "Your job is to help me keep my job. I don't care what you do in school. I don't care what you do in your classes. That's not my problem. I don't care. Your job is to help me keep my job." And that bothered me. Check this out, man. This sister says, unpopular opinion, free black boys from the shackles of football. I have mixed feelings about football at this season of my life, but I'm looking at it from several perspectives. I don't know what you guys think, but growing up in the hood, man, football was in our brains the way out. I remember like I was in 5th or 4th grade and the teacher was like, "What do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "Man, I want to be a football player." She says, "If that doesn't work out, then what else do you want to be?" And I said, "Well, it has to work out. That's all I want to be." That was a dream, to play football. I loved football. It kept me out of trouble, kept me out the streets, and it gave me somewhere to direct my attention and energy. They say in order to break a bad habit, you don't just stop, you have to replace it with something else. And football was me replacing a lot of the bad habits that I had, man. And so in that sense, to me, football was a blessing. It kept me out of trouble. It helped me be accountable to coaches and to my team, to my brothers. And the brotherhood in that locker room is what I miss most, man. The brotherhood of being on those buses to games after wins and losses, the silliness, the stupidity, the jokes, the chaos of just being with your brothers, man. There's nothing like it anywhere else in, like, at least in my life since I've stopped playing football. Going through hell week together. Those are some of the things that I love and think are great about football. I feel like football is one of the only places where boys can unleash their testosterone. This is the place where boys can be boys and they can be rough. They can be aggressive. They can be violent. They can exert their strength. They can impose their will on other people. And that makes men out of boys. And so that's another great thing that I got from football. The mental toughness you get from pushing through from a hard practice, the two-a-days, the Oklahoma drills, going heads up with somebody and nobody wants to lose. That makes a man out of you. It makes you strong for the battles you'll face later in life. The mental toughness of being exhausted in the 4th quarter and like you have to score or you have to stop someone else from scoring and you're out of breath and you're just at the edge of your capacity, but you dig deep and you still find something else in you to give, like that little, and it helps you win the game. And the joy of that comes from the victory and being able to celebrate with your brothers, man, and just to be with your brothers, like that's beautiful. Having coaches pour into you, and if you didn't have a father figure, coaches mentoring you, teaching you about just life and manhood and just things that you're not learning from your father or any father figure. Your coaches become your father figure. So many boys, the only father figure they have is their football coach. And so again, that's another blessing of playing football. And I'm sure there's so many more. Now, to her comment though, the shackles of football, I've seen that too. So in high school, I loved football. When I walked on at Cal, I remember we lost a game to USC, and our receivers coach walked into the room and said, "Your job is to help me keep my job. I don't care what you do in school. I don't care what you do in your classes. That's not my problem. I don't care. Your job is to help me keep my job." And that bothered me because I thought about all of the people like all of the things I had overcome to even get to college, and being the first person in my family to even make it to college, like education was important. And to hear a coach say, I don't care what you do in the classroom, your job is to help me win games. That was the beginning of the end of football for me. And several of our team referred to the stadium as the plantation. In some ways, like it felt like slavery. In some ways, man, like just having, you get up early, 5:30 to go practice. You practice from, till about 7:30, shower, get dressed, go to class between 8 and 2, and then you lift from 2 to 3, and you watch film and position meetings from 3 to 4, and then you practice from like 4 to 7:30, and then you go to dinner, training table, and then you go to study hall from like 8 to 10. We were too tired to study. We were athlete students. And I'm like, man, like this ain't working. This ain't working. Like, how can I keep my grades up? I don't have time or energy. And to be fair, I still had like so many bad habits, and I lacked the discipline that you need to like really be excellent. My time management skills weren't that great. So I take ownership of that part. But the mentality of several college coaches felt like the mentality of slave masters, man. Like they felt like they owned you. They treated you like they owned you, and they were disrespectful and condescending. And I've seen, like, even in my own experience now with my oldest son, visiting all these colleges, talking to all these coaches. Man, a lot of these coaches are liars. A lot of these coaches lack integrity. A lot of these coaches will just tell you what you want to hear, but not really mean it and not really follow through on it. There's so many coaches who are coaching college football who lack integrity. They'll lie to your face. They'll use you up and discard you as soon as you get injured. So many of these coaches, man, like they don't really care about our boys. They don't really care about the flourishing of our boys. They don't care about the development of our boys, preparing them for life beyond football. Many of these coaches don't care. And I've seen it in my interactions with several college coaches. And in that sense, I agree with this woman who says we need to free black boys from the shackles of football. What happens to these boys when they don't graduate from college? Or what happens to these boys if they graduate from college with a degree that no one is looking for? What happens to these boys when these young men, when they graduate, if they graduate, and they need to build a life for themselves? Many of them don't have the skills or the maturity, or didn't have the mentors to really help them become men. And so what we have is so many black men in society who had these hoop dreams, who had football dreams, who are now unemployed, unemployable, can't find work. And now they got kids and all these responsibilities and all this stress and all this pressure. And so many of our brothers, man, have CTE. So many of them are locked up. So many of them are on drugs and alcohol because they were allowed to go through a school system as only athletes, and no one really held them accountable for their academic development. And a lot of these guys get passes, and no one saw Lamar Odom's documentary. He said he had like all F's his senior year, but somehow he still passed because he was a great athlete. And so for me, I made sure from as far back as I can remember, talking to my boys especially, you can love football, but you are more than a football player. You can love it. To me, it's the greatest sport in the world. I love football. But football don't love you. And football has an expiration date. And I want you to know that you are more than a football player, because if you've only seen yourself as a football player, then when you stop playing football, you're lost. When you can't do the only thing you've ever wanted to do, who are you? And so many athletes who stop playing, whether in high school, especially college and beyond, they're lost because they don't know who they are. They've invested all their time and energy into becoming a great athlete. They put all their eggs in that basket, and it opened doors for them. But who are you when you've lost the only thing you wanted to be and the only thing you've seen yourself as? There's some people I can't find online that I played with, that I was on the team with. Can't find them, and it breaks my heart. I've seen some like struggling, and these were people who tried out for the NFL and stuff. If you're still watching this, I appreciate you guys. And so I think it's from that place that this woman is speaking and saying we need to unshackle black boys from football. There are some beautiful things about football, and I'm grateful for those things, but I also think that one's love for the sport also needs to be tempered or accompanied by, undergirded by strong academics. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think?